So I've been exploring this project called WingLang, and it has a pretty interesting take on cloud development. Basically, instead of the usual cycle of deploying to the cloud every time you want to test something, you run the entire cloud stack locally in your machine. So things like API gateway, DynamoDB, Lambda functions, and etc. And it has lots of benefits, of course. The thing is that the company behind WingLang shut down, so the project is kind of in a limbo right now, but the code is still there and it has some really fantastic ideas that are worth considering. WingLang brings together three key concepts. It has its own language designed specifically for cloud development that's supposed to be more intuitive than what we are used to. It lets you do all development locally by simulating cloud services on your machine. And when you're ready to deploy, you can target multiple providers like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, etc. And if you've built cloud apps, you know the routine, right? Write the code, deploy to the cloud, wait a few minutes, test it, find issues, fix them, deploy again, wait some more. It's not terrible, but it's not perfect either, right? Plus, you end up with your infrastructure code in one place, application code somewhere else, right? So WingLang provides you with this concept of pre-flight, which is basically your infrastructure code, and in-flight, which is your application and business logic, right? And the simulator is exactly what I mentioned, is that is the start of the show. It lets you do everything on your machine. So here I'm creating a new Wing project, and to demonstrate some of the core capabilities of WingLang. So WingLang has its own syntax, and just to test this thing, we just run wingit. The command is to run the project. And here you see that function, right? That function is exactly how we are interacting. So imagine this is your Lambda function. And that's the syntax, and I can put a payload here, and I can run and invoke this function within my browser without hitting a cloud resource. And here I can also run the test that I have within that local simulator suite, so to speak. Now let's shift gears and install some more complex things. So I'm installing DynamoDB to also have a persistence layer in this project, and here I'm just basically creating a CRUD application. And let me just fast forward here. And here you can see the API, and I don't need to say API gateway or anything. I just need to mention it in a really abstract way, and Wing is smart enough in the background when I'm compiling this to my cloud provider to understand what cloud provider it needs to translate to. And here is exactly that in-flight concept that I mentioned. So here is the application logic. So everything that we were doing until now was pre-flight, so infrastructure code, and here is the application logic. And I'm also adding that, and I want to just get a HTTP call and get the request and persist something in a database. Really simple. And now let's take a look on how it looks within the simulator. So here you see there's my API. Here there's the request, and it's a post method, and you also see my table. The table, that's DynamoDB, and also I can now invoke this API within the browser without hitting any cloud resource. And this counter is also just there just to increment a number for just creating sort of some randomness in the ID, right? And as you can see, when I post something, it also shows me that this, and now here you see a bit more of a complex setup with 4 methods, and also some more operations on the database, and also some tests that I'm running here. The code is of course on GitHub, and you can have access to it. All right, now let's switch gears and let's see how we can deploy this. Now let's deploy this. So Wing lets you compile this code to Terraform or to AWS CDK. I'm choosing Terraform, and here's the code that you can see. That's normal Terraform code, and you can do all normal Terraform operations with it. So Terraform init, plan, and apply. And here I created a script that sort of helps you with some. Now I'm going to initialize this and just deploy it. Let me fast forward a bit to the time that it's deployed. So here's the API that now I can use, and I'm just going to go to for the sake of it, just go to an HTTP client and just run something to see that, to show you that it works, right? So here it is, right? So the code now is deployed, there are resources, and now I'm just going to destroy everything. Now, of course, if you want to take things up a notch, what you want to do is to create a really GitOps workflow. So put this code in a Git repository and also have a proper CI/CD around it. So that's what I'm going to do in this stage. What I've provided is this script that is supposed to help you with that. So it creates the S3 for the state of the Terraform, and also DynamoDB for the lock, and it helps you with that. So now let me show you. Here is also the instruction. So now here's the code. What you also additionally need is this code that lets Wing know at the compile time that you have a remote state for Terraform. And yeah, now I'm gonna compile this, and also I've added all of that, the bucket as well as the region as well as the DynamoDB. Now here's the GitOps workflow that I mentioned. I have added this GitHub Actions, and I try to keep things pretty simple to make sure that everything works. So here are the environment variables and all those stuff, and here I'm installing WingLang. So I just kept bare minimum and really simple stuff to make sure that everything works and nothing is broken, because there are some packages that are not, as mentioned, maintained by WingLang. So here it is. Yeah. Now let's push this code and take a look. So here's the situation. WingLang is open source and available on GitHub, but the company behind it has moved on. The project doesn't have active maintenance right now, to my belief, and but yeah, I think the approach has merits. The local simulation works fantastic. The unified development model makes sense, and it really solves real problems. So just to show some love to the folks who have created this fantastic project, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing if you just go and start this project. And also let me know what you think about this tool, and yeah, I catch you in the next one.